Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this introduction to Confluence webinar. My name is Tony Hartsfield, and I am a certified Atlassian professional and a consultant at Valiantus. Valiantus is a platinum solutions partner with Atlassian. I'll talk more about our company a little bit later. For the next hour or so, we're going to be taking a relatively deep dive into Confluence itself. Um, what I want to talk about some of the basics and then go into some of the tools that can really help you why Confluence is made to leverage it to be a great tool for teams and organizations. And so the layout of the hour is first off, we'll talk about what Confluence is. Then we'll take a look at the editing capabilities, and once we look at the editing capabilities, put that into potentially custom reporting. And I have both an IT example and a non-IT example to see that. Uh, how it can be your content portal for your organization. Um, we'll talk briefly about governance as we start to see all the functionality of this. We'll see this is pretty extensible, and maybe there's some guidance on how to use and how to manage your Confluence instance in your environment. And then I'll try to leave some time toward the end of the hour to use for Q&A if you choose to. There actually is a Q&A module in this meeting, and if you have questions as you come through the session, simply add them then, and at the end, I'll take a look at those questions from there. But let's start with the idea of, well, what is Confluence? And Confluence is of the Atlassian tools. It's a wiki-style editing tool that can be used for documentation. It can be used for information sharing, like a content portal. And it can be a great location for reporting on your projects that you're using in, say, Jira Align. Um, and we'll see examples of all of those things. Also, for any of you that are using Jira Service Management in your instance, your knowledge base articles are kept in Confluence as well, so that they can appear on your help portal when your customers are making a request. They can see your knowledge base articles seamlessly. And by the way, that doesn't, your customers, if you're using Jira Service Management, your Jira Service Management customers do not have to have a Confluence license to see those articles when they're on the help portal. So a great additional tool that's on there. Um, what we're going to see is that Confluence is very customizable, very extensible, and so we'll talk about ways that this can be used to um, help your organizations communicate effectively and efficiently. Um, the uh, a couple of images here to think about as well. Um, but before Confluence, or a tool like this, the question in your organization is, well, where do I find this information? Is it in an email? Is it on an intranet page? Is it in a policy that was sent to you? Is it a person that you need to contact? And information about your organization is in disparate locations. What Confluence can do is your people come to a central location, and then from there find that information that either is in Confluence or is simply linked to Confluence. And so it really can help streamline um, your connections to the appropriate information uh, in there. Um, as far as structure goes, Confluence, if you're familiar with Jira, Jira has projects, and then inside of projects are your issues, your actual items of work. A similar type of structure in Confluence. Confluence is broken down into something called spaces. And then inside of your spaces, you have your pages and some other things that I'll demonstrate toward the end of our time together as well. And so the question becomes then, well, who should have a space in your Confluence instance? Um, um, We first off recommend a governance space, and we'll talk governance again toward the hour. But it might be just a department, your IT department, your HR department, marketing, accounting, whatever. It could be labeled based upon a particular project from Jira or the project team, or it could be a combination of those things. And we got examples of a lot of these things. And so it's very flexible as to how it can be used by both your technical people and your non-technical groups as well. Um, and because you can link to so many different things, we'll see a lot of functionality here that we can see. So let's take a look at uh, the basic capabilities first as we go into this. And so this is actually we're looking at a space right now. And so as I go in and I take a look at the basic editing, and in a moment, I'm going to also open this in edit mode so that you can kind of see behind the background what's going on here. But so a wiki style editor does a lot of things with basic text, obviously. And so you do have your headings, you have your text, regular text and styling of text, colors, bold, etc. There's also things like bulleted lists and numbered lists. And so you can see a lot of those things as we're going through there. I'm going to go ahead and open this up into edit mode and just show you some of the pieces as we begin to scroll down this page, um, all using the formatting bar that comes along with this. You see a list of breadcrumbs as far as what the page is and what space you're in. Your title, you can also add emojis to it. You can add a header image to this. Statuses to the pages. Is this in draft mode still, or is it still in review, or is it ready to go live? You can add statuses. Again, the basic text formatting. Then as I scroll down here, this is a single column setup, but you can also break it into what's called layouts. And layouts allow you to have different ways to manage the location of the information on the page. This is a left column, right sidebar one, but you can have two columns, three columns, or one of the sidebar options as well. And so again, just to show you a way to arrange the pages, the content on your page itself really helps manage that. There's something called action items, which is a tool here that you can collect those items that need to be done. You can mention somebody, and that person in Confluence gets notified that they have an action item to respond to. You can set dates on these as well. And then you can actually close the action item itself. This is a table. And the table functionality is fairly basic, but Confluence has added a couple of additional features to this, to the cloud. And by the way, let me clarify, we are in a cloud instance, and this is a premium license. And so it does have a couple of extra features that come with premium, but I am focusing on cloud-only features in this presentation, and there's a few new fun things that I'll share toward the end. But the basic table setup, but about sometime last year, they added this functionality of taking your table data and being able to create a chart based upon the table data itself. So here's a bar chart, here's a pie chart that you can manage from there. Um, and so tables, the ability to add rows and columns and delete, etc., merge, split, lots of things that you can do with that as well. As I scroll down further, because your users in Confluence are connecting to the same location, as long as they have edit rights to the page itself, you can have what's called simultaneous editing. This is a function that is similar to other programs that you may be working in, but it does allow for simultaneous editing to take place. And what I like about that is that, for example, oftentimes when we're having meetings with our clients, we'll have a meeting notes page up and running, but we may have more than one person editing the page while it's happening, because maybe one team member is presenting the next point, the other team member is going to take notes on that and trade off back and forth, or somebody is taking notes on the meeting and someone else is in another section of the page collecting action items for the next meeting or the next working days, etc. So it's really nice options about simultaneous editing from there. Also, you're noticing here something called these are these little highlights here, and these highlights are comments. You can also make comments on into your page by simply selecting and then applying a comment to this. Um, in cloud, you can do this whether you are in published mode or in edit mode. And I'm happen to be in edit mode right now, but you can add comments in there. It says that mention somebody. You can also use a few of the macros that are in there. And I'll talk about macros in a little bit as well, but also to just give you some uh, help you visually with the comment itself. Um, and so you can use that from there as far as comments go. Um, and then I can also see the comment that was made. I have the ability to reply, resolve, edit, etc. So great tool for helping with collaboration, especially as the page is still in progress mode or something like that. That your people can ally to do that. There's also comments at the bottom of the page. When I exit the this edit mode, I'll show you. There's also commenting on the page itself, not just selecting content, but at the bottom of the page as well. Um, Linking, I think Confluence handles linking very, very well, especially in cloud, is that when you just simply paste a link, really there is a link tool, but honestly, in many cases, you just simply paste the link and it will manage how you're going to do it. And it has a couple of ways that it can present a link. One is just the URL itself. Another one is what's called inline, which gives you the name of it and a link to it. Another one is called the card view, which is kind of a preview of it from there. And then another one is depending upon what type of page, what type of link it is. You also have the ability to do what's called embed. And this is an embed link here. Well, this is a document that's not even in Confluence. It is a document that is um, in a Google Drive folder that our organization uses. And because I have also shared access to that folder, I can view this folder. And if I have edit rights to it, I can even do that as well. I can even edit this document. So it's not even in Confluence itself. And that's a governance question that we can also talk about when we do so. Again, with just links, here is a card for a URL. And then also you can do things like email links from there. A really great way that it handles URLs in there to where it almost makes the linking tool itself obsolete. You still have it, but just simply getting the link and pasting it onto the page, knowing what to do with it. There's another feature I'll show you toward the end of the hour called a new feature that Confluence has added called Smart Links, and we'll see that too. Um, you can also embed media files, and it automatically knows how to treat a media file, that it will embed it, that you can then play the video from the Confluence page, and so you don't have to send them to your YouTube channel or to your learning management systems video portal or to your Microsoft Stream portal. You can just put a link to it in your Confluence page, and it will stream it from there. So great tools for doing that. Um, Again, very, very powerful tool using links. Move down to the next area that to do, and that is these are all links, and so they're embedded links itself. But you also can make attachments, add attachments to your Confluence pages. Um, Sometimes you just need to have that image or that decision tree or that screenshot of an error message or whatever it happens to be. And so you are probably still going to use attachments. And so among the things you can do, you can just simply attach an image in there. You can add a caption if you need to. And then also, in this case, one of the options is that this has word wrap as well. And so this is wrapping to the right side of this particular paragraph, which is kind of a nice feature as well. There are other attachments. This is a PDF file that not only can view the thumbnail, but you can click on it and see the larger image itself. And then you can also have attachments that don't appear on the page directly, but you could have links to additional attachments using what's called an attachments macro. And we'll see other macros, but these are other ones that are not actually visible on the page yet, but a viewer can access these attachments as needed. This is great for things like policies or forms that your people might need to access while they're at a particular space. Instead of just embedding the thumbnails onto the page, just use the attachments macro, and then they can grab whatever they need from doing so. Speaking of macros, first off, macro can be kind of a scary word for some people that aren't using software as more than just an end user. Macros are really the way that Confluence defines the term macro is it's a way to uh, help format your information or help you navigate to your information. There's a few others the other things that it can do, and you may have plugins that you have that you're using with Confluence as well, and those macros will be included as well in your instance. And there are many. If I click on just the drop down list of what's available, there are lots of macros available that you can, and this is just an out of the box instance, and so there's a lot here, and even more now that Atlassian Intelligence has been added to Confluence this month, by the way. And so when I flip over to a newly created instance, this instance is a little older, and some of those features roll out to instances, and so it hasn't hit us yet on this particular instance, but I'm going to show you a recently created instance and show you some of the AI features as well. So there's lots that are in here. And so what are some examples? Well, some of our favorites are what's called the panel macro. And the panel macro allows you to have built-in ones, so success, information, warning, note, error, but you can also have your own, no image at all. Let's go back to success. You can have your own emoji. You can have none. You can have uh, change the color, and not a huge color palette, but at least some options. And so even if you're not using the built-in ones, this is a great way to apply background color to text using these different panel macros if you want to. Again, just another way to visually enhance your page when you're working. So. Another button we like to use a lot is something called the status macro. This is simply a button, or Atlassian calls them lozenges, that you can just simply type in the name of whatever it is, and you can have that in there. We use this for status reports, whether it's on time or needs attention or deployed. We use that a lot. And then another one of our favorite ones is what's called the expand macro. The expand macro is you on the page, you see this particular title, and then you can expand it to see more information from there. We use it on I'll show you when we get to our engagement page with a client. We use it for like putting things like the statement of work in there so that people always know what is our involvement with the client itself. But you could also do this with, say, like policies or steps, and you could say, click here to see our harassment policies. Click here to see our HIPAA policies, and you can expand to see those things from there. And it helps to control the vertical scrolling that people would have to do to see the content of your page. That might be useful for you as well. Pages involving navigation. So a table of contents, which is based upon headings from there, so you can quickly navigate to the different places. A page tree, which is a great thing to put, like, say, on your cover page of your space, so that they can see all of the pages that are in that space from a kind of like almost like a table of contents sort of place. Um, and so, and then there's just lots of other fun macros that you can do. Um, Other macros are actually designed to help you connect with Jira. And so you can link to a Jira issue. And so that's actually what this is. And actually, if I take a look at this, this is, see if I can, this is an actual issue from the Jira project that this is associated with in this instance. And if I have rights, one, to view and edit this page, and two, to view and edit the issue in Jira, I can actually, say for instance, add a comment to this particular issue, and it will update there. The um, I can move this along the workflow. There's lots of stuff that I can do with this just by embedding it this way. You can also embed it as a card or as a link. Um, these, by the way, are links to them as well. And so, however you like to do that, you can also create um, Jira issues um, from Confluence. Let me go back to publish mode. So you can see how this actually interacts when it's in a publish mode, how this begins to look. You've seen the layouts already. You've seen some other things. But there are other macros that work with, um, sorry, as soon as it lets me. There we go. So now back in published mode, I want to show you some of the other Jira macros. And then also to show you that you can, just to show you, let me grab some text here. So say you've taken notes on a meeting or something like that, and it needs to have an action item added to it. This is actually going to be a task in the project that you're reporting on. Well, when you select text, you have the ability to not only comment on it when it's in publish mode, but you also have the ability um, to actually create a Jira issue from that selected text. As soon as my page renders, maybe I'll come back to that text and do that. And looking down at some of these other macros then, so that's the embedded one, the card. What you're looking at over on the right-hand side is a Jira pie chart. And so it's based upon a JQL search that you did in your Jira instance. And then you can um, convert that into a pie chart. What's loading here as well is the ability to see it, just an issues list itself. So once you do a search, you can have those issues displayed on the page so that you can view those as well. So I don't know if I'm going to wait for this to render much further, so you've seen a lot of the capabilities. You've seen the formatting, the layouts, tables, um, um, attachments, links, and a bunch of the macros, including Jira integration. By the way, here at the bottom of the page are the comments that you can view here. And this is really, it has a full wiki style editing capability, just as if you were on the page itself. And so you have a lot of things you can do here, including things like adding that info panel so you can draw highlights, add tables, etc. That can be seen. So whether you're commenting on the overall page or on specific text in there. But let's take a look at what it would do if it was all together. And this is an example. I'm moving over to another space, and this is a sample of an engagement page that we might have with our clients. It's a very normal setup that we have whenever we're working with a client on the Confluence space that we create for the project that we're working with them. We'll create this, and so this is kind of using a combination of the things. So this is a layout, a two-column layout. You'll see here, this is a Confluence premium feature, a calendar that you can either create a calendar here, or you can link to another existing calendar if you have an external one. How we use it at Valiantis is we'll have a calendar that will so that the team members might put in their PTO time or time away. You can also include things like meetings that your group is having. You can include things like the issued calendar items from an issue, its due date. You can put sprints in here. So there's lots of interesting ways to manage that if you want to. Here is that again the info panel macro, the attachments macro. So these are past meetings that people can, if they want to see. So this page is live, and so but you could always print the page at the end of the meeting so that you have um, a uh, a copy of what the status was like at the time. And then here is just another table. Here's the status button. But this is what you get to do with this now is not only have the information as I begin to scroll down farther. It's not just the information, it's context. And so that's why it might be a better reporting tool. And as you begin to see this, maybe that might help you with that decision. This is an advanced roadmap. And so again, from the Jira premium license having advanced roadmaps, this is a plan. And it's a view, it's viewable, it's not editable, but you can expand the in this case the items and see the child issues underneath the epics. You can actually click on the link to go open the actual issue in Jira should you want to do that as well. Great tool for showing to your stakeholders, seeing what's going on. And then here is that Jira issue list again, showing you the name. What's the summary of it? Here's these buttons here. So this again, this is just a table with a lot of links, but this is the Jira issues list. And then others, so so we can say what's been completed this week, what's still in progress, what's still in to do. And then we can also break it down by what we've been doing. And again, here, the same macro is being used for the Jira issue list and for um, the pie chart, just for helping visualization. But this is the nice part about doing this in Jira, and that is, or I'm sorry, doing it in Confluence, and that is not only can you see the issue list, and not only can you see the pie chart, but you get to give um, context to the people viewing this page as to what they're looking at, how to interpret it, what things should be considered important, or why we put it on the page itself. And so we can see those things. And so again, the same macro is being used in more than one places. Here's that idea of the again, this statement of work or whatever else that you want to do. And so we just do this a lot with our clients. We'll have this. And so now the question then becomes, well, then where should your reporting take place? Should it take place in Jira where the project lives, or should it take place in your documentation tool, Confluence? And in many cases, we will say, well, you're certainly going to have some reporting capabilities in Jira because you have your dashboards and you have your boards and you have your filters. And so what we typically find is that the actual project team, the people doing the work, are probably going to be in Jira and stay in Jira most of the time when they're working on things. But when you are uh, reporting to your PMO, your stakeholders, your C-level, just anybody else that needs to have information about the project, we really think that Confluence may be the better location for doing those things. Why? Well, because as you've seen already, it's a very flexible tool and can be very customized. And so you can make it look in a manner that is appealing to your readers, to your community. Makes it really consumable and interactive as far as that goes. And so that's um, also because of good searching capabilities, they can also find similar information that are on there. You as the space creator, owner, you get to manage the message. It's not just looking at the data, but you get to control uh, the information about the data itself, so that you can highlight good points, where your struggles are, where you think your successes are going to be. And then, of course, it's easy to update. And so it's quick and easy, and you can do that with uh, really almost anyone who has rights to the space. Doesn't not need to be an expert on this to be able to do these things. Just a little bit of know-how, and you'll be able to do that from there. So again, what we tend to think then is that um, if your project team is likely to stay in Jira, that's fine. But we really think that uh, that Confluence spaces and pages are really going to be your better tool, your clearer tool, your more customizable tool for making reports to your community, to the people that need to know that information about that particular project. Um, so this is again an IT example. Let me see if I now that I'm not in a rendering mode, if I have the ability, I did want to show you this, is that, I showed you I can paste a link from an existing Jira issue into Confluence, but I can also, once the page is published, I can select text, and one is comment, but the other thing is actually create an issue where you can select uh, the the project that it's going to go in, the type of issue type it is, and you can create that from there. So again, really useful for things like meetings that are taking place, and out of that meeting are going to be some new tasks that the project team needs to work on. So it both works both ways from there. Um, this is IT, and this is again how we tend to work. But let me show you another example of one that's not IT. I want to show you a space that is a marketing group. And I'll come back to this page tree. I'll go back to the IT one too, because I want you to see a few other things that we also structure on here. But this is non-IT, and so they've done things like their team homepage. And by the way, this is a template. This is not we didn't create this ourselves. It's a template, and uh, Confluence has out of the box over 130 templates that you can use, and so you don't have to start with a blank page. You can also start with some built-in templates, and you can even customize those templates should you need to, or create your own. But this is just a template page that's on there. Meet the team. There's just links with some images and icons, emojis. Um, Here are profile pics of people that are in uh, this Confluence instance itself. Their calendar, again, very similar, but then more links to content from there, whether they are internal or external. A way to search the space um, for content itself. And then here's their project dashboard. And they have opened up, first off, and these are using a macro called page properties, where each of the subspaces have information in there, and then they compile on this master page itself. And so this information is not actually here; it's from other pages. It's just collected and stored on this page itself. But again, it's very similar. They also have a advanced roadmap they're using from there. Um, and then individual groups, then this is made up of 5 teams. They also have their own project pages. And so that's one of the other examples of how a space could be. The space could be the department, and then you could provide a project page for each team that's working on there all the way through in this case there are 5, but kind of a similar idea. They're showing you other things, but this is just strictly speaking about the marketing team. Again, they're also using the attachments macro for a couple of design docs that they use for their marketing tools. So great tools from there, and each team might have their own setup from there. Um, I mentioned the templates. There's one called Meeting Notes that is useful to use. It has both the meeting note itself, and it also has something called a meeting note index. And so this is an index of your meetings from there, decisions that were there, and then you can drill down into the individual ones itself. And this is, again, this is fully customizable, but we selected the meeting notes template, and it broke down into these individual pieces like this, and to which we can use this. Things like if you're not going to be using, for instance, the decisions macro, well, you can go in and edit the template to not include it, or add other things that you might want to use that's in there. And so that's using of the templates. Um, and then a couple of other links that are being used here um, that that I want to also show you. Um, if you are using things like Miro for your whiteboarding tools, you can embed a Miro board into your page, um, and then the dependency of whether or not they can depends on how you've got it set up on Miro as far as whether it's public or viewable or editable, whoever can see those things. You also have a Trello board. Trello is um, another Atlassian tool. It's a simple uh, issue tracker board itself that you can use in a Kanban style or whatever. Um, you can have your own, by the way, you can have your own free account to Trello if you like to manage. Some of my colleagues at Valiantis use their own Trello boards for managing their life. So the things to do is, and this actually is functional. You can actually move things from one to the next as you actually work on that. And then lastly, we saw this before, but I just want to reiterate the idea of embedding attachments that are not located in Confluence itself. These are located in our Google Drive or your Box Drive or your SharePoint location or Teams, Dropbox, anywhere where the people have access to them. You can embed them in here so that you can display the information. A great tool for not having copies of existing information being placed in Confluence, but rather just simply linking to the actual information from there. Um, so I hope that this is helpful to see those things. And before I move on to a couple of other features, I want to now take a brief moment and talk about Valiantis itself. Um, Valiantis is, we are a platinum solution partner for Atlassian. Uh, we are the largest and we're global, and we're considered the preferred partner with Atlassian right now. Um, and what that basically means is that first off, our sheer numbers, but also then all of our consultants pursue and maintain Atlassian certification, so that you know that we actually have studied and worked and are working in the products themselves, so that when we engage with our clients, we do that. Um, so that's a great part about what distinguishes a platinum partner from other partners. But then Valiantis itself, we're proud to say that we're global. So we're not only in North America, we're also in EMEA and APAC. In fact, we just added a new partner crew from Australia. So now we're also in the land of where Atlassian lives, in Australia itself. So and the types of things that we do, well, first off, um, we can help with uh, licensing your Atlassian products, um, and then we also, once it can be done with that, we can also help you implement those things. We can help you set up, configure, migrate, lots of things like that. We've been doing lots and lots of migrations over the last year as the server licenses were deprecated in March, and so lots of people have moving from an on-prem server license to the cloud instances. So we can help a lot with that. We can also do custom solutions. Lots of people have integrations with other third-party tools that they want to integrate with Jira or Jira Align or Jira Service Management, and we can help with that as well. Really, what Atlassian is wanting to move toward is not just their products, but really becoming an IT consulting base. So general helping your organization succeed using the technologies that are available to you, and that will include Atlassian projects and all things, whether it's ITSM or enterprise service management, which is the newest trend that's going on. We really want to we come into that space itself. Um, we also have a team of full stack developers, and so oftentimes what can happen is somebody can say, "Well, I have this third party app that needs to talk to Jira." And we can do that as well. We have people that develop. We have actually have people that have developed tools that have been award-winning tools at the Atlassian conferences. Um, uh, Last year at Team 23, we did win one, and Team 24, we had one of our partners was partner of the year in certain, I forget what area it was in, but it was might have been in migrations, et cetera. But we can help develop those tools. We've also enhanced a few things um, uh, with visualizations, especially in Jira. We helped one client uh, that just needed to see their inventory better with their assets, and created a really nice customizable view that can be used, that actually is now available to our other clients to use itself. So um, we do that. And then training. Well, you've come to this event. We do a webinar, live webinar every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central, and we encourage you to look at some of the other topics that are on there. You can view our next sessions from here. Um, we also do lots and lots of both public and private training. Uh, Anything that you see as in a webinar format is free. We also do events that are also most of them usually free, that are topic related and tend to be done in either the midday or even in the early evenings. Depends on what the event might be. We've had a couple of wine events where people sign up and they receive a small box of wines to tastings. We've done with chocolate. We've done with pizza. We've done lots of fun things like that. So you might find some interesting things there. Um, and then we have courses. Now I'm quickly going through everything that Confluence is doing when I'm covering everything. But we actually have a full 1 day uh, class, a boot camp class on Confluence itself. It's hands-on. You get to not only see these things, but you get to try them and do them. And so it's a 1 day class, and you can see that also in our catalog itself from there. Um, okay, let me go back to shameless self-promotion is over now. Okay, um, let me uh, let me mention then a couple of other things as far as other layouts go. Um, And so what you're seeing then between this marketing one and between the IT one, and let me go back to that IT one, is how they're going to organize their pages. It might be different as far as what suits their needs. And so that's the idea that this is actually a content portal. It's not just basic information from in there. So you've got the engagement page, but then typically we might have, again, there's the meeting notes, a contact list of the team, risk register that as we've discovered with their meetings. And then we also might put in here with our engagement the types of documentation that we're working on with the client itself. If we're doing agile team work, the types of playbooks that are also in there. So you'll see lots of ways to manage this. We do it all the time with our clients. Our run books, our assessments, meeting notes, et cetera, all get contained in that single list. And so what you're seeing then is lots of um, opportunities here as far as um, 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 what this can handle. Okay, um, and what that again means that we need to talk about in just a few minutes is some guidance onto how you're going to use it because um, with just letting your people loose on your Confluence instance, and we've seen this a lot, we've done it ourselves. You can really begin to create what is an unnavigable mess. And so we'll talk about that in just a moment. But there are a few new features that have been added over the last year, some as recently as this month that are now no longer in beta form but are live. And I need to switch over to a newer instance to show you those things that are cloud features that I want you to be aware of. And maybe you're looking at if you're looking at your cloud instance, what are some things that are a part of it? Well, um, automation rules is a new one for Confluence. Maybe you've seen automation rules in Jira or in Jira Service Management, but they've added automation now to Confluence. And there's some built-in ones that are kind of useful. Things like sending an email when new content is created, adding particular labels to things, which is really useful for your knowledge base articles because it's that labeling that helps surface the articles when your customers are on your help portal making a request. Great options for things like how to govern your page, how to know when it's time to either edit or remove content. You can archive content at certain days, and you can have rules that remind the space owners that it might be time to do that. Um, um, Change the owner of a page. Owners of the page can be important for things like if you're utilizing some of that crowdsourcing functionality that Confluence can do, and that people in your organization are following the content of a particular person in your organization. Um, the 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 team lead, the department lead, et cetera. You could put the name of that person on there, and it would add to the notifications that are on there. And then a couple of new features that we'll see in just a little bit. But and then um, again, they've been adding a bunch of these new rules since they've turned this on last, I believe it was a year ago or so. But now there's some really interesting ones from there, as well as the ability to create your own. And I'll just point out that if you're looking at your premium license, at the very bottom of that is the ability to go to the Confluence Automation Library page, which Atlassian hosts, so you can see how other people in the Atlassian ecosphere are using automation rules. So some interesting things that are going on there. So automation is one. We've premium levels. We've already seen calendars, and we've seen something. And then there's something also called analytics. It's not Google Analytics, but it's a great way to see well how many people have recently been or touching the page, what content, what pages are they looking at, are they viewing attachments, or you can also see what pages are not getting traffic, and that's what that one article about up here about uh, changing. Making a page inactive, we can say, well, analytics will say, well, this page hasn't been touched in 6 months. Maybe I want to do that. So analytics also comes with premium. Some new features, though, that I want to show you. When you are clicking on the add content button, out of the box was page. The next one now is whiteboard, and whiteboard was in beta form until this month. It has now become a live feature, and it's part of standard and premium. Um, all standard has some limitations to it, but now with whiteboards, maybe you're like using your miro boards or others, but just now they have included a whiteboard functionality in Confluence. And there are several templates that you can also choose from. So depending on what style uh, of 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 whiteboarding event this is, whether it's a standard decision tree, whether it's a mind map, whether it's an actual, we'll use boards when we're talking to our clients about well, how are we going to set up your instance? What's the project types? What are going to be the issue types that are in there? What are going to be the workflows? And then what's the hierarchy of your issue types, et cetera? We'll draw that all out onto a whiteboard itself, and so you have that. So again, this just went live or out of beta information this month that's in there. Another one that's still in beta information, but is kind of interesting, is called a database. And this is a database example. It's a table, yes, but it's a table on steroids because it does a lot of really interesting things, um, where you have then different types of fields, and you can add all kinds of fields. So you can have text, image, number, date, tag, users, links. And so here's most of those that are on here. Um, there is the ability to filter or use different views itself. There are different ways to apply filtering out of this. There are different views of the table itself by card, by board, or by table. So this is really it's a new feature. Again, it's still in beta, but it's pretty interesting, that I think might be worth uh, playing with when you're doing so. Um, so whiteboards, databases, and then a new feature that also came out maybe a couple of months ago is called a smart link. It's like putting a link on a page, but instead what it does is the entire page is a link. And so you get the link. So again, this is not putting just copying and pasting a link on a Confluence page. This is actually just a link to the actual document, and it's fully editable as long as the person has the rights to do so, right? Um, here is another one with a Trello board. Uh-oh, I guess I logged out of this. Again, so instead of just embedding on the page, you can now do it with um, uh, different types of external content. I'll show you some things that you can do with this in just a moment. Um, you can also do video content. So again, the presentation lives on our YouTube channel, but you can put a link to it from there. And if I show you what that looks like real quick, basically, if you can link to it, and there's lots of things that you can link to, um, it will basically embed it as its own page in there. You can of course also do it um, in the in the page itself in an individual page, but I think you'll find that this might be a useful way to um, feature certain information from there that was not created in Confluence but can be displayed in Confluence, again making Confluence a great tool for reporting purposes. So again, we've done a lot of information here. I want to talk a little bit then about governance. You've seen all the functionality of this. It's wide. It can do a lot of things. And so the question becomes then, um, um, how do I not create a monster? Because if you don't have a strong approach to how you're going to manage your Confluence instance, uh, we have a phrase that one of our colleagues created a couple of years ago, and that is that if you don't if you don't manage this, you're simply going to amplify your dysfunction. And so and so lots of our conversations with our clients, whether it's Jira, Jira Line, Jira Service Management, Confluence, all of them require governance. And so we talk about good governance tools. And so there's basically two things to think about when you're doing this, and that is how are you going to manage it and how you're going to maintain it from there. And so some questions that you might want to ask then is, who is going to get to create the content? You definitely want to think about naming conventions so that people can search properly for the information itself. And there's a few other things that are just guidance things. Uh, Information in one location could surface in multiple locations, so it's only maintained in one place. And we actually can talk about governance. We even have now just come up with a new governance workshop that's available on our public schedule available too. You can also find information about governance on our YouTube channel. You can find a couple of governance webinars that are on there as well. So and the answer is, by the way, we'll get people that say, "Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this?" And when you're talking about governance, there really isn't a one single way. It's trying to match the way that fits your organization. And so that's why oftentimes when we're working with clients, we need to get to know the client a little bit first, and then start talking about, well, who is going to govern, how are you going to govern, what are you going to be your decisions upon that. So um, uh, you're going to be able to reach out to us if you want to. After this, there's going to be a how to contact us, and if you want to follow up with that, we love to have the conversations with potential clients. Conversations does not have to lead to engagement, but if we can present ourselves and in some way provide value, we love that opportunity. So just let us know from there. So I've talked a lot. I moved really fast. I covered a lot of material, including some new stuff that's on there. And so I want to take the last remaining time to see if there are any questions. I'm going to take a look at the Q&A area and see if there were any questions, or if you have them that you'd like to add now. Um, a couple of things just as far as last things to think about. I had mentioned earlier that your Jira Service Management customer group does not need to have a Confluence license to be able to view that. Um, and um, so how else you can, so that's non-Confluence users being able to access Confluence content. There's another feature in user management for Confluence um, called Guest. There is a group in a Confluence Cloud user management called Confluence Guests. And what that's designed to be used for are people that are not in your organization. And you can have up to 5 guests for every license holder that um, you have. So if you have 100 license holders in Confluence, you can have up to 500 guests. And what these guests can do is they can have access to one of your spaces in your project. And it could be for collaboration purposes, for viewing purposes. And then of course there's another option in Confluence, and that is you can make uh, your your s- your spaces or your entire site public for view purposes. So there are many websites that actually are Confluence pages. If you look at Atlassian, it's essentially a Confluence space that they share with that. Um, and so just another thing to think about. Confluence, I've shown you some of the new stuff. It seems like every month or so when we start a new boot camp instance and I'm training the boot camp and I start to click somewhere, I often tell the people to expect me to pause at some moment because something new is going to happen. And what was just shared with you in the chat is a link to um, a really great space or page that you're going to want to bookmark. You can even subscribe to it. Uh, and these are what's new in Confluence Cloud. And every month they update it. And I'm telling you, something new shows up every month. In fact, sometimes the cadence is as often as every 2 weeks. So um, that's just another thing that you might want to be able to be aware of as you're trying to keep up with this, especially if you're going to be a Confluence administrator and you want to know what to add that's in there. Um, the latest feature that has been turned on in in Confluence is AI, um, artificial intelligence, but it's also the features called Atlassian intelligence. And where it's being used right now is uh, summarizing pages. So if you have a lengthy meeting notes, this is a great little tool for doing that. And also it's used in automation that you can um, tell it what type of rule you want to create, and it will at least get you started in this. I will tell you, this is still in the early phases, and so this is also available in Jira as well, where you can use AI to start to create a rule, and it's still getting its feet on this, but there's some interesting things that are going on here with AI that your Confluence, uh, your org admin can enable or disable AI in your software packages, Jira Service Management, Confluence, etc. Um, but if it's on, there's some interesting things that are happening now with that. I wanted to mention that as well. Hey, we spent a lot of time together. I hope this has been beneficial to you. Um, as always, we would love to be of assistance to you to bring value to you. But you've just spent the last hour looking at Confluence and all the features, including some of the new features. My name is Tony Hartsfield. I'm a consultant with Valiantis, a platinum solution partner with with for Atlassian itself. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope this has been beneficial to you. And if it leads to a conversation, that's all the more. But otherwise, we hope you have a great rest of your day and hope to see you at the next webinar. Thanks a lot.